Yep, the pony motor's back, and it's better than ever. We're going to put it together today. Stay tuned. We got it back from Antique Crawler Parts, and as usual, they did an awesome job and gave us some awesome advice. They honed the inside of these cylinders and ground these valves. And hello, kitty. Another thing I want to get together today is this governor. I got a new bearing, a new old stock one. And the cleaner and I want to thank you for the memberships to the channel, helping us get those cleaner supplies that we needed. Much appreciated, and for those of you that are interested, the link is right below. With a membership, you can check out the exclusive members-only videos. We started out at about 30 this morning. We're getting close to 35 in here. Not too bad. Right here, we got the pony motor pistons all installed and together. They've got new rings up on the top. We reused the old ones on the second row. Everything's in great shape. They're all gapped properly, and they're ready to install. The valves are ground and ready to install to the corresponding cylinder. They're put together in that valve pack. Number 1, intake exhaust. Number 2, intake and exhaust. They're ready to go. We're going to get this block cleaned up a little bit more, make sure it's got all the debris off of it from the machining and the grinding of the valves, and I want to get this seal out of here. I've got a new one to replace it. Before we get too far, Dad's chasing out all the threads on the block. As soon as Dad gets done chasing these out, I'm going to replace that seal. It's a 2B-6005, and that is a national seal that's in there, and the crossover is a 455013. So I'm going to put this new seal in there. You might be asking why there's even a seal in here. Don't both sides of this run in oil? Well, yes, they do. And there's actually a little hole down in here, too, that keeps oil on this side, but this seal seals it off. This compartment runs off of gear oil down below where the pony motor pinion shaft runs. It looks like I can just punch it out through right there, and there's a hole down there too.
Is it moving?
Yeah. Need a bigger hammer?
Probably. There you are.
Yep. With the seal out, Dad's going to finish chasing all the holes in this block so we can get it over in the clean parts washer and give it one nice good rinse. While he's doing that, I'm going to work on this governor. So I need to press this bearing off of here. I think I can get that off on our hydraulic press. Now, this is the thinnest stuff I could get that would get under that bearing there. I don't know if I got much faith in this. We'll see. Just need to get it off the very end of this thing. I got a little puller around that bearing just to finish the job. There we go. There it is. That's that bearing. And realistically, it's probably would have been okay, but the grease all came out of it, and it sounds pretty rough. New bearing looks like a 240800478 cat annular bearing. So that's the replacement part for the bearing I just took out. And I don't think it's directional. I'm going to put it in just like this. So we were just talking in the background. It's a tedious process, but trust me, from experience, it really beats trying to hang an engine or a transmission on something and not having a bolt start because it's full of junk.
Well, or if you put this together and get pistons, everything in here, and then you find out that there's a bolt, you got to drill out and helicoil it and get shavings all over in your new parts. Not worth it.
We've never done that, though.
No, never.
This is a spacer that goes in here behind that bearing. It's a perfect size. I'm going to go ahead and start pressing it in with that. Not only does this look unorthodox, it is, but it's working. The bearing that's inside here, I'm not going to mess with. It was nice and smooth. This is a shaft that actuates the governor, that actually moves these little weights right here on the outside, in and out. And it's got a little bit of corrosion on it. I'm going to chuck it in a drill and kind of polish it up real nice. Dad just finished chasing all the holes in the pony motor block over there. We're getting close to putting this thing together. I'm going to go ahead and shine this up with a little steel wool, and I got this chucked on a drill. I'm going to go ahead and pull these pins out and take these weights out for the governor. Hi, kitty. You can step there. That's fine. What are you up to? And then Dad's going to go over and make a new gasket for here and a new gasket for here. I'm going to take a wire and make sure that this little oiler we pull is open. That oils that little bronze bushing inside of there. It's nice and open and free. I can see the end of that straw down in there. And when I assemble this, I'll put some oil and grease on it anyway. I'm just going to take a little bit of this spray lube. Put it down in there. A little bit on there. You might remember this little bearing that goes inside of this cap here. And I cannot get one of these. I've looked and looked all over the place. I'm just going to pack this with some of Grandpa's luber plate. Grandpa's favorite. There you can see the grease poking out through the bearings right there. These are harder to pack than the bigger ones. This will stay in there a lot longer than just the regular oil will. Gonna put a little inside of the spacer too. Gotta get my grease off the outside of this bearing. And I want to keep the grease inside the bearing. And that bearing goes into this cup right here. There we go. Put this part of it back together. Put a little grease on everything. A little bit of Grandpa's favorite. Grease the pins a little bit. I think that this will get oiled from the oil that goes in there. But I don't think it hurts to grease these just a little bit. I guess when it's assembled, that's what keeps the pins in there. Kind of tedious. What's going on over there, Dad?
My hole's off a little bit. I got one hole off.
Our quality control on our gasket maker is not good today. There we go. Got the fresh bearing on there. That's the brand new bearing. I put a little grease inside of that spacer. And it should go on there. Okay, this should go on here. Like so. Up next, we got our lock washer. And it's keyed right there on the one side. And then our nut. I'll snug it up with my grinder wrench. Got some bolts holding this in the vise. I'm going to come up here and snug this nut up. Got a little wing on this fold-over lock. It's hard for you folks to see it in there. I need to get that bent up. There we go. Cleaner's cleaning. Here's the gasket the cleaner made for this. Oh, is it gonna work?
Why?
It's a little tight.
Well, trim it.
I'll have to trim it. There, that's better. Got it fixed. And this should actually go in here, like so. I'll put a little bit extra lube on there. And there we go. Make sure I got some lube on that. That should go through here. I hear my neighbor's roosters. We'll get a couple of bolts started up here in the top. Alright, I got a couple of those in. I'll start one more. That little bearing we put grease in, that's going to go right on there. Oops. There we go. Put a little bit of this spray lube in here on this arm that the governor actuates. It goes to the carburetor right there, and this has got to line up with this, so that will dog ear inside of this right there. Right there. There we go. I'll finish tightening those up. Next, I'm going to put this governor spring on here. It's a 3B9762, and Cat still has these. And you can tell they got the new Cat logo on this package. Put a little spray lube in there. This adjustment for the governor was super rusted in there. I just got it loose. I had to heat this up quite a bit, but I got it loose, got it freed up so we can adjust it. We're putting just a dab of Never Cease on the very, very end of that. Keep it from rusting in there again. So we'll leave it loose so we can adjust it when we get everything back together.
It's tight in there.
Yeah,
it stopped.
Back it off a little bit. It wasn't in that far.
It wasn't?
No.
I thought it was. I will put it somewhere in there.
Yeah. Okay. The cleaner's not satisfied with his cleaning yet, so he's still working on the block.
We don't have a hot tank, and it's really hard to do all this by hand, but
we'll manage. One thing I immediately noticed is the new spring that's the same part number is substantially smaller than the one that we had on here. But I've been told that with these pony motors, you want to wind them up as high as they'll go before you try to start that motor. So I'm guessing this is probably the spring Cat wants in there. 3,000 RPM, that's really moving. There's a slot that rides in that channel right there. Keeps that from spinning around. Okay. Ah, we got it. There we go. Alright, governor's done. That'll go to the carburetor. Oh, it's not done. I got one more step. According to the book, you're supposed to fill this up. I've got a little syringe here with some oil and it doesn't fill completely up. I'll put some oil in there. It's only supposed to be enough that when you roll it down here, it starts to come out. And it's super cold out here, so not really flowing. Oh, there it is. So we got plenty of oil in there already. So I didn't take very much. And I can put my last bolt in there, tighten everything up. And this is a common maintenance item. I don't think whoever had this machine did this very often. It was definitely bone dry in there, and there was actually no indication that this had ever had any oil in it. All right, that governor's assembled and ready to go on the pony motor. I see a lot of studs and nuts. Do we know which one's which?
Yeah, you can always tell a nut from a stud.
Well, I got that. All right, which one goes where?
Well, obviously the short ones go in the short place and the long ones go in the long place.
That's looking really good. It's got its final cleaning done. And we've wiped it out, blown it out with air. About as good as we're going to get it with what we have. Pardon the background noise, folks. It's cold out here and we got the heater on. This is the front cover on the pony motor, and that's the seal that is right behind the flywheel. And the original one is a 1B2245, and the updated cross-reference part number is a 5H9753. So I'm going to get this one out of here. If I'm careful, and I always am, I can punch this out from the other side. And what I mean about careful is I don't want to nick this bearing here where the crankshaft rides. But I think if I go in at an angle, I can punch that seal out without touching it. All right, there we go. No harm, no foul. It's kind of interesting to note that my grandfather used to call these seals rawhide, and that's actually what it kind of looks like, a leather rawhide seal. We're going to install this seal. And I'm very good at getting these in crooked. That'll work. Just wanted to show you all, we're replacing every lock washer we come across in this machine. And so far, this is what we've got. Pretty good start. Get this one in there. Gotta get the lip the right direction. For this one, I'm using a 2 3/4 inch, 1 inch drive socket. Looks like that'll fit around there just about right. It's going. That looks pretty good. Everything's getting checked for a final cleaning. First thing that's going in is our crankshaft. We're going to put a little pre-lube, engine pre-lube on there where it goes into the bearing. The wrist pins and the piston, the rings, everything to do with the piston have already been done by Antique Crawler Parts up in Laramie. And we are very, very happy with the results.
While I'm doing it, I'm going to do these journals too.
Probably a good idea.
Because I can get to them easier.
Okay. Number 2 in first. This is number 1. I don't know if my piston ring compressor is going to get all of them at once. Before we put this in, we're going to...
And this oil ring...
orient all the oil rings and then put it in a piston ring compressor.
About 120 off of that one. And that compression we'll put over here. And this in about 120 off from it.
Okay. It's funny in these maintenance books for that engine, for the pony motor or donkey start, I've been told, there's very little mention of torque specs. So we're going to go ahead and torque these to 15 foot-pounds.
Oh, look how that slides in there now. Beautiful. All right, my bearing. Do a final clean on it. Doesn't take a lot.
We're going to pre-lube the bore and the piston.
Just do this.
Nice oil bath.
Yeah. Put some oil on it. Need it down in there so it'll slide.
And you got your oil ring where you want it.
That one is fine.
You remember?
Just remember, it's just off center from the rod right here.
Okay. That'll give us a nice lip on the end of the piston to start it.
Okay. Okay, we should have that lower one in because it went quite a ways.
Okay.
Just enough so we can slide it up on these others.
All right, are they oriented where you need it?
Yeah. This one. Yeah, that one was right there, so our other oil is over here.
Okay.
That one's up there. These are just about 180 off. I'll just turn both of them like that.
Okay.
So I can get that ring in there. That's the only bad thing about doing it this way.
Well, we kind of don't have a choice.
No, I'm going to have to back it off more.
We don't have the right piston ring compressor.
Not really.
We got one for a lawnmower and one for big V8s, and nothing in between.
We do have that lower ring in, so we're good there. I get all these in here. That one's in.
All right. Just kind of rolled the crank around into that rod right there. Okay.
This might be a trick too.
Yeah.
Well, I got it started.
Man, miraculously, while I was inside looking for a better flashlight, Dad got those nuts on there, so everything got started. This is definitely a 1/4-inch drive job.
For now, let's turn that one about 120 there. Let's put this compression. Let's put that one there and this one over there, about 120.
All right.
But we'll recheck that. All right, ready to go in here?
Yep, let's do it.
This compression there and this one over here.
All right, that's where they're going to live.
Yep.
All right.
She's in.
Yep, it's going. That one's not easy. All right, let me see if I can torque one of these. There we go.
You on 15?
Yeah. Yep, there's 15. I think I'm lined up even with the hole.
Really?
For the key.
Let me dig up some cotter pins.
Just gonna need a little bitty one. Yeah, I'm lined up perfectly.
Excellent.
Look at that. I could have done that one again if I tried. All right. That one's torqued. You got it in there?
Yeah, it's in.
All right.
How you gonna bend it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Making a gasket for this cover. Already got a new seal in there. So I just need to cut out the outside and stamp out the bolt holes. That turned out perfectly. And everything lines up great. So we're ready to go on with this. Going to use a little of this Ultra Black on here. Going to keep that open. That drip oils the main bearing here on the into the crank.
There it went. There it went.
There are two bolts that are just barely shorter than the rest of them, and they go up here, so they don't interfere with this valve spring here.
Now you torque these, you know how you do the big stuff, there's a 1 grunt, a 2 grunt, 3 grunt. These are little guys, so these are just a little huff, just a little.
Not even a half grunt.
Yeah, half huff.
Getting a little lube on the journals for the cam, and I think we're going to put our gear on the crank down there. Alright. And your seal rides against that. There you go.
There, just like that.
And then the gear will hold that on the front. Cleaner's cleaning up the keyways. There's one that goes in the top, one that goes in the bottom, and then your gear goes on here. And this is kind of critical. It's marked with a C on one side. But with the two keyways, theoretically, you could get this 180 degrees off. But we have the C right here and the C on this gear here. And we'll put that back on. Just put a little engine assembly lube on everything. Why not?
Well, like you said, it'll keep it from maybe rusting in like some of them we took apart.
There's our C. There's our C. Should go on just like yay. We're going to put a little blue Loctite on those bolts that hold that gear on. And we have the fold-over lock on it too, but I guess just a little extra insurance. We're going to install the cam next. The pistons are straight out on each side, so we have the C to line up right here on the top. That piston's out. And where's our mark on the cam? Right there, the white C right there. So we'll need to line that up just like so. Are you all lined up down below?
It is now.
Alright. Not quite in up here.
I see that. I think I'm being held up right there. There we go. There it is. Yes?
Yep. That's right where it's supposed to be. Got our valves here, fresh from the new valve grind, ready to go, all preset by Antique Crawler Parts. And got your tappet. That's putting a little pre-lube on that. And the flat part of it goes towards the cam lobe. And that'll go in clear from the outside, all the way through. Getting a little grease on that too, this engine assembly lube. And this valve pack is pre-assembled, so it'll all go in all in one piece. And you can see my video where I took them out. They are kind of spring-loaded and held in place by a keeper. Dad's got the retainer here. I'm going to compress that spring, and it should just drop in there. I know it's hard for you all to see. You got it?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all that holds it. There's a better shot of where that keeper is that holds that. I don't know what you call it. I call it a valve pack. It holds it in there. Let's get the exhaust in here. There you go.
There.
Okay.
This is the exhaust side.
We might need to turn our cam. Give ourselves a little more.
No, the cam isn't the problem yet. There it went. There.
There you go. I compressed that spring just the same as I did on the other one, and Dad dropped the keeper in.
Intake.
Yep. Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was easy.
There we go.
Okay. Got our keeper in there. Everything's installed. Let me see if I can turn it. There we go.
Okay, that and opened.
These are opening.
That and opened. Those working over there.
Yep. And these are all preset, so should be good to go.
7 to 10 thousandths is
Yeah.
what they're supposed to be cold. 7 to 10 thousandths.
All right. That's 7.
Is that an easy fit?
7, yep. That one's on the lobe. Yeah, they're right on the money.
Do a 8 or 9, see if 9 gets tight.
There's no doubt in my mind that they know what they're doing up there, more than us. That's an 8, it's a little more snug.
That's probably really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
A snug 8 is good.
All right, what do we got here? Here's a 9. Nope, no go on the 9. These are perfect.
Yeah.
There it is. And sorry about the sun, folks. This time of year, it's... What did we usually complain about when we were digging basements this time of year?
The sun was in the windshield all day.
It didn't matter which way you were going. It seemed like that sun was in your eyes this time of year.
All the time.
What do you say, Dad?
I feel like we got something done.
I do too. And we're heading in the right direction. It's nice to start putting these engines back together. And we'll finish this one up here in the future. I do want to thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one. High five.